Okay, you guys, I think 5-minute buffer is enough and we can start with our webinar today. Thank you again for joining us. I am Renata and I will be your webinar host today. I'm part of IW Connect. I work as a marketing consultant. And today we're going to deep dive into an interesting topic called accelerating business success with Next.js. Today with us, we have speakers Christian Boszkowski, Christian Momirovski and Alexandra Natevska. They will all go into some different aspects. Christian Boszkowski will start by introducing Next.js and unveiling the future of web development. Christian will continue with mastering SEO excellence with Next.js. And last but not least, Alexandra will talk more about unlocking lightning fast performance with Next.js. Well, without further ado, Christian, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Renata. So, hello everyone. My name is Christian Boszkowski. I am senior technical consultant and full stack web developer in IW Connect. I'm working mainly with the technologies React and Node.js and also Next.js, just like it is the topic of today's presentation. So, have you ever found yourself opening a website and then having to wait for a couple of minutes for it to load, like seeing some kind of spinner, or in worst case scenario, even a blank page for start until the data is loaded and then you can access the website? I'm pretty sure that most of you have faced that problem previously. And I can also say for one that I've been on that place as well, and I've done that. So when that happens to me, usually it's pretty frustrating as a user, and most of the time when that happens, I don't even wait for that website to open, and I just close it and get frustrated. So let's switch the perspective a little bit from the user perspective to the business owner perspective. So the business owner for that website spent a lot of money. He spent a lot of time, and also the people who were building it, the developers, to actually build probably some amazing site which looks great, which behaves great, etc. But because of that, they didn't pay enough attention for the performance of it, and then instead of getting more people to actually be interested in it and join and etc., they're actually making people frustrated. So and they are losing potential customers and their money as well. So let's talk a little bit about how we can improve your business and optimize your applications with the help of Next.js. Without further ado, I'll start with some small comparison and explanation about what is Next.js and what is React and how they compare, because those two topics will be mentioned a lot of times during this presentation. So I'll start with React. Some of you may know that React is a component library for building user interfaces, and it is one of the most used front-end libraries at the moment. As I mentioned, it's a library, so in order to build an application with it, you would have to implement a lot of different tools and other packages as well. And most of those packages can be from third-party providers or from different places, from other companies created, etc. And once you're building an application, you would have to connect all of those to work together in order to be able to build the application you want to build. So Next.js, on the other hand, is a full framework which is mainly used for front-end development, but also it has some other interesting capabilities as well. This, because it's a full framework, it encapsulates or uses React as its component library, but it also adds a lot of different features out of the box to it, and as a framework, it offers most, if not all, of the things which we need in order to build an application. So the main difference is that React only cares about the user interface and building blocks of it, and Next.js is actually helping us build full page or full application or most of the application without us having to rely on third-party packages. So I'll talk a little bit about how I started using Next.js. So, like around 6 years ago or so, when I started with web development, I started with React and working with React. I was still a beginner in one of my first projects, which was for big company in telecommunication industry. I was faced directly, let's say, with Next.js because Next.js back then it was pretty new technology. It was released around 2016, end of 2016, and most of their applications were using Next.js already. Back then, Next.js had a limited set of features, but still it was pretty interesting features, and with those it enabled them to actually grow really fast at that moment and become one of the biggest help them become one of the biggest telecommunication companies in the US. So when I first time faced Next.js, it was something new for me, but it looked pretty exciting, so I got into it, and since then I haven't looked back. And most of the applications which I've been working on since then have been created and worked with Next.js because of the benefits which it offers. So talking about the benefits, I will mention a couple of them briefly here, and my colleagues afterwards will talk a little bit in more depth for some of them and how we can achieve them with Next.js. So the first thing which I want to mention is faster time to market. So using Next.js instead of using React or Angular or anything else which is similar helps us get the application pretty much faster to the market and to the end users. So it offers capabilities for rapid development because it offers a lot of tools and most of the things which we need out of the box. So, and some of them are out of the box, the others are pretty easy to configure. The next thing which I want to mention here is improved engagement and retention. So because Next.js usually offers a lot of performance improvements, which we'll mention a bit in more depth later on, it makes the application more performant, and as a consequence to that, we are getting we are not frustrating the users when they first open our application, just like I mentioned previously in one of the previous slides. So if they are not frustrated by it, if they open the page and see how awesome you built your page, there's a big chance that they will become, if they are new, they will become your new customers or users, and if they're already existing users for you, customers, there's a big chance that they will keep using your application. The next thing which I want to mention is the better conversion rates. So talking about it, faster websites have improved in several researches that they are likely to increase the conversion rates of users getting to your web page and application, and at the same time they are leading to higher revenue and better return of investment in them. So the next thing which is connected to the previous one is the reduced development cost. So if we are building the application faster than previously, if we are getting better conversion rates, usually that means that we are reducing the costs which we are paying for that for the development of that application, and that also means that the costs which we are saving at that moment can be used for something else. And the last thing which I want to mention for now is that it also is pretty adaptable to future technologies. So Next.js, because it is created by a big company which offers a lot of their resources to work on it and improve it, is always up to date. Like once a year there is a new version. So they're following all the newest standards in front-end web development, and at the same time they're making sure to be creating new standards and driving the technology for front-end ahead. So that was my part here, the introduction of this and the benefits, and now Christian Momirovski will take over and he will talk a little bit more about in depth about the SEO and why that is important for us.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for your time and joining this webinar. Thank you, Christian, for your insightful and informative talk on Next.js and its transformative impact. Let me introduce. I'm Christian Mumirowski, Senior Technical Consultant at IWConnect, full stack developer focused on JS ecosystem. Today, I will walk through the basic of SEO and share some insight, highlights, and why it matters more than ever, especially when it's combined with the power of the Next.js. Today, in the digital era, dominance of SEO has become more critical than ever. It's not just being on the internet, it's about being found. So now let's considering our everyday online experience. Here, I would like to ask, what is your initial step when you're in search of something? Well, if you're like me, and I believe most of us are doing the same, we are grabbing the phone and searching for that thing at the Google. That's the right moment when the importance of having optimized website for the search engines comes into the play, and it's most important. In a world where the Google alone proceeds more than 5.6 billion searches every day, it's evident that search engine optimization is a vital strategy for anyone which wants to be present online. Before we dive deeper, I want to say additional words about why SEO and why SEO is so important. SEO is all about making your site visible in the search result engine. When people are searching for information, products, or goals that you're setting, they usually click on the very first result they're seeing. SEO is here to help to climb those top spots. Previously you heard well, the only first result on the top. The true magic of the SEO lies in the business impact. Higher organic search means higher rankings and more eye-catchable content. That means more potential customers and ultimately more revenue. SEO is strategic investment that could help your business to grow faster. Now maybe it's a good question to ask. Why shouldn't run paid advertising? Well, paid advertising may provide you quicker result, but SEO, in other hand, offers cost-effective and long-term growth. Instead of continuously paying for ads, SEO can help you to build the robust online presence that can continue to attract new customers without spending your budget on ads. Now let's ask ourselves, how can we be sure that our React application are optimized for SEO, making them understandable for the engine crawlers? We are all aware about the SEO challenges and issues that single page application has. Likely there is Next.js to help with that and boost our performance and SEO rankings to the top. SEO is not about the content and the keywords. SEO involves optimizing multiple web pages that includes elements like title, tags, meta description, the quality of the content, and regarding to the new trends and algorithms that Google has provided, Google aims to provide the best possible result to their users. Optimization is one of the key factors in the SEO, and Next.js has your back. With server-side rendering capabilities, Next.js can deliver pre-rendered content from the server to the client, which making faster website. In the world of SEO, page load speed is crucial. Next.js is a champion in this aspect. Thankfully to that and automatic code splitting, which reduce the initial load page times, we can ensure that our websites are loaded faster. Before I continue further, I want to share some interesting fact about one of our partners, which is the largest online furniture retailer. They had a problem and they were struggling for their visibility, had a slow loading website, poor SEO optimization. After we redesigned their website and picked Next.js as a technology, they experienced a 50% increase in organic traffic, and their annual review saw a significant boost. Customers were not only finding them more easily, but they are also staying more at their website. They are purchasing more of their products, and that with the help of Next.js, the user experience was improved. The cool features that also Next.js offer are SEO-friendly routing system. With that, we can build SEO URL friendly and the structure of our website that search engines want. And let's not forget about the head management. Next.js provides automatic head management, simplifying the process of configuring crucial SEO components such as text, meta description, and structured data that can provide a website advantage in your competitors. Structured data is the way of describing your site and making it easier for search engines to understand what is your vocabulary of the website and what you want to achieve. Well, what is the business impact of this, and what will business will get if we implement the structured data? Imagine that you have an online store that sells electric guitars. If you add structured data to website with a product, your result in the search engine might be changed. It is called the richer text, and it's eye-catching to the potential users, and they will pick your content instead of the another content from the competition. The another cool and good thing is picking the right feature post for picking the right profile picture for your post. Previously was issue, but thankfully to the image response, that is a cool feature from Next.js. Content writers and marketing teams can easily create a dynamic open graph images and thumbnail for the content that we want to promote to the social media platforms. So about the other cool features and functionality that can offer Next.js, later we'll dive my colleague Alessandra. So I'm passing the mic to my colleague Alessandra.
Thank you. Thank you, Christian and Christian. Hello, my name is Alexandra, and I'm Senior Technical Consultant and IW Connect, also full stack developer. Thank you again, and my role here will be to take you a journey where I can explain a little bit more what other aspects of our application can be optimized more. So here is some of the aspects of our application we can optimize. Images are also parts we can optimize. Fonts, also scripts, the static assets, lazy loading, analytic. All these cool features I will explain a little bit more in my next presentations. So let me start. Every website we have a lot of images. So the image optimization is very important for our website. So in order this to be clear, I will give you one small example how the image optimization can affect our page loading. For example, if we have one image that is 20 kilobytes, that image will, with a simple HTML tag, will be loaded in seconds. But after we are using Next and Next image optimization, that loading process will be reduced by 3 times. So that means that the picture will be loaded for 500 milliseconds. That's a very good feature that we can offer. So another optimization with the Google image optimization is we can mention it's a responsive image. What does it mean? From our everyday traffic, 50% of our web traffic comes from mobile devices. What does it mean? What does image optimization do? Here in our example, for example, if we are accessing from mobile device, the Next.js will optimize the size of the image to be according to the devices we are currently using. If we are going to the website, the image will be with a large quality and will be more much better. For the responsive mobile, it will give us small that can be easily and lightly download from our device. Okay, so another aspect, as I mentioned before in our presentation, it's a font optimization. So when we are calling fonts or when we are applying some fonts to our website, we are using network traffic to the Google, for example, Google website or something like that, to Google Fonts, one extra network request. But when we are using Google Fonts, in this case, we are skipping that extra network request we are having to the Google, and we are optimizing the initial load of the web page. So what does it mean? That it's going to the web page will have smaller loading rate. Another cool application about this font optimization in Next.js is GDPR compliant. So in order to explain this more closely to you, I'm going to tell you one story where Next.js was very good for us and how we solve our one of the problems from our partners in Germany. So as we know, the Germany has a strict GDPR policies. That means that they cannot go and ask for the assets or network requests that are not in with servers in their country. So the call to the Google fonts. So they needed some kind of fonts they needed to show on their website. What we have done, we have used font optimization and Next. So this was easily overcome. This issue was very easily overcome because when we are using Google Fonts, we are not going to the external servers to grab that font. That's why font optimization are very awesome in this case, and we make their page GDP compliant, and also we have done good with the font they wanted to. Okay, another example here will be the script optimization. If we are having one big script that initially can take 10 seconds, with the script optimization, we can reduce the loading speed of that library or script by up to 6 seconds. So it will be 40% better and faster to load that script on our website. Okay, static assets. What does it mean, static assets, and in Next.js? In Next.js, this means that we are serving assets from our local environment. For example, in order this to be close to you, I'm going to explain that the images we are showing to our website will be statically hosted on our website, and we are not going outside from our application. That example are images are also robot.txt, like that is very important from the presentation we have seen in our colleague Christian Momirowski. Also, another cool feature of that is analytics, that Next.js is giving us opportunity to get analytics from the Web Vitals and easily integrate to our Google Analytics, so we can easily track how the page is performing on our site. And the third party Next.js is it's very good with the third-party integration. For example, if we are mentioning which libraries are third-party libraries, we can mention here that Google Tag Manager is also part of this third-party library that it's very easily integratable with Next.js. That was now all from me, from a little bit of our cool features and how the Next is performing. So another thing we need to do is the demo. My colleague Christian will take.
Yep, thank you, Alexandra. So we will do a little demo for some of the features which were previously mentioned by us in those slides which we had. Let me just stop sharing the presentation, stop the slideshow, and open the small demo which we have. Let me just go here. I suppose you're seeing the screen with the application. Okay.
Yes, we see.
Yeah, so the application is really small because the main part of this is to show some of the features which were mentioned, like SEO and head tag, as well as the part about font optimization, image optimization, static assets as well, etc. So the application is pretty simple. We have some hero image. We don't have much styles in it because that's not the important part here. And we have some kind of shop for selling mobile phones, which each of them has their own image, and we have around, let's say, 60 of them. Okay, so that's basically it. But let's show what things are automatically, because this is a Next.js application. Let me show you what things are automatically out of the box configured by Next.js, so that you don't have to write anything additionally, but just get them. And afterwards, we will do some small change for two of the features which are not automatically added but are pretty easy to configure, so to see how those will impact the application. So I will open the inspect tool, developer tools, and go to network, because most of the things which we are seeing on the page which I showed you are coming to the application as network requests once we start it. So I will clean cache for start and reload the application. Let's see what we got. So bear in mind that this application right now, like I mentioned, is just Next.js, so it doesn't use font and image optimization, but it does use static asset, which is this top image. It does have some out-of-the-box metadata setup, and it does have pre-rendering of some stuff because that is out of the box, and also it does have dynamic loading of assets. So if we check these requests closely, we will see that we have a lot of requests, and many of them are actually the images. So from start, because we're not using image optimization from Next, all of those images, they're not 60, I think they're around 30, 40. All of them are requested from the site from the start. So if we check that, each one of them has its own time. So some of them are taking around 100 milliseconds, 70 milliseconds, etc. So we right away we are doing all the requests for the images. Another thing is that because we're not using font optimization, if I search for the font in here, this is the one, we can see that we are taking it from Google fonts, just like Alexandra mentioned, and that for some countries like Germany is not GDPR compliant, and you can get a fine for it. Also, some of the stuff, let me show you some of the stuff which were directly configured without us having to change anything, just create the application as Next application. So first thing first, in head tag, we are getting a lot of meta data out of the box. So some of the most widely used meta tags are already there. They're already imported scripts, which are optimized by default. We don't have to change anything. There are some other style tags which we need, which are also optimized by default without us having to change anything. The next thing which we have here, if you noticed, we on most of the requests here are the images. So if I start scrolling, because at the top right now we are only seeing images. If I start scrolling and start getting to the those to the mobile phones, we will see that we're making new requests and getting more and more data. So we are getting the correct data for all of the phones when we search, when we scroll down. That is because Next.js already, without us having to change anything, this is just normal list. It is optimizing this part, and it is only requesting the data before it gets to the viewport, before we start seeing it. So we are getting all of those optimization out of the box without us having to do anything. Now let me do some small changes in the application and start using the first. Let's add the hit tag with some SEO information which is not able to be configured out of the box. So we are setting up title, we are setting up OG title, description, keywords, and other. I mean, we can set up anything here which we want to set up for the application, any kind of metadata, and anything which can help us with SEO. But for example, I just took a couple of those tags because those are the ones which are mostly used on most of the websites. So I will uncomment this one. Also, I will get rid of Google Fonts call, and we are gonna import the font directly from Next.js, which also gets it from Google Fonts, but a little bit differently. I will show you how. So we're commenting this in here. Next thing which we gotta do is that also with the font we need it here. I'm gonna uncomment this as well. comment out the request for font. Next thing is also I will start using the next image, which is optimized instead of the normal HTML image here and in here as well. So we didn't do much changes. If you noticed, this is just different tags with most, if not all, the same properties. If I stop the application and rebuild it, so that we can see those changes in the live version, which is production build, it should take less than 30 seconds, I guess. Should be pretty fast because it's a pretty small application. Okay, we built it. Let's just start it. So if I start the application right now and I clean the cache, I forgot to mention this previously. Out of the box, Next.js actually caches some of those stuff. So if I reload the page a couple of times together with the browser pre-caching some of the resources, those will be taken from the cache. I didn't show that one, but I can do it right now. You can see if I reload it once it's loaded, you would see that they are getting from the memory cache and we don't have to wait for them. But to actually show the capabilities of Next, I will just reload the whole page. And now let's see what we got from start. So from start, we're only getting like less than 10 images, let's say. That is because we are showing 4 cards in a row and it's usually taking around 2 to 3 rows. So we are getting the images which are shown on the UI right away, but also we're only getting the images which are pretty close to it, so that when we start scrolling to the bottom, we are not encountering loadings. They are preloaded before we get to them. So once I start also like previously, we don't have any of the data for them. Once I start scrolling, you will notice that as soon as we start getting to some of those cards, we're getting the next cards images in here and also the data for them as well. So without having to do much, just change the image tag to the one provided by Next. We just optimized our application and we don't have to do all the image requests right away. Just imagine that here we can have more than 1,000 different cards with mobile phones. But we just got the ones which are shown and the ones below them so that we don't have to wait for them. And as much as we scroll, we keep getting the next data which is needed when it is needed. And also, if I search for the font, it is loaded right away at the start, because if we want to show something, we gotta have the right font instead of just the UI jumping out and not displaying the right font and then changing it afterwards. So when we do that, in here we can notice that we're no longer making calls to Google Fonts, but right now, even though it's the same font, it's from Google Fonts, we are taking it from the built resources, which we can see in here. So if I search for it, it should be here somewhere. Yeah. So the font is taken from Google, and then it's at build time, and it's saved directly in our application. So any request to it will be done to it. Will be done to the application, and we don't have to leave the server for it. Okay, that was what we wanted to show. This is just small example of the capabilities of Next, but I want to emphasize how, even though in the loading times you didn't see much of a difference on such a small application, on large applications with a lot of stuff on them, a lot of images and a lot of data, this will make a big impact. So I will stop sharing this right away. I will go back to the application, to the here, 1 second. Let me get back to the slideshow. From current slide. Okay.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Christian, Alexander, and Christian. It was an amazing presentation. And now we can open the floor for questions. Anyone who has a question, you can feel free to address it in the Q&A tab. We have one question. Is Next.js friendly if a company is operating internationally? Is it easy to translate the content of the application and provide a different domain or a subdomain for a different country? Who can take this one?
I will take this one. So yes, it's pretty easy for us to actually implement this, even though we didn't mention it. In this presentation, it's pretty easy for us to actually connect to and make our application available for different domains for different languages. This is because Next.js applications, we didn't mention that, out of the box are server-side rendered, so we're getting the content prepared on the server side, and then it is sent to the browser for a user to use. So because of that, it is pretty easy to actually build this kind of different routes in different domains for different countries and make our application available internationally on different languages.
Thank you. I hope that answers the question. We have another question. How much does Next.js cost?
I will take this one.
Okay.
If it's not a problem. Next.js is a open source website platform where it is framework for React, so it doesn't cost anything. For example, all this optimization you can have it by no cost. It is totally free.
So it is like free.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? If we have, feel free to put them in the Q&A tab. Alexandra, Christian, and Christian will be happy to answer. A lot of public-facing websites are built with headed content management systems. So how hard it is to migrate to Next.js, but keep using the same existing content? Who can take this one?
I can take this one. Well, the most of the headless CMS has its own support headless API, which we can use on the by using the compatibilities of the Next.js and server-side rendering. We can call that API at the build time and fetch actually the content in a secure way and display in our application. Not only the content, we can pull the assets from there, maybe the users we have defined there, and etc.
So basically it's possible, doable, and it's not
Yep.
very time consuming, as I understand.
Yeah, because the most of the headless CMS has, as I mentioned, has support of its own headless API. So it's doable.
Thank you. Why choose Next.js over React?
I can take that one because I started talking about it a little bit in one of my slides. So as previously mentioned, React is only a part of our development process. So if we want to build a full application with it, we have to include a lot of packages. Some of those packages are built from different companies or individuals, and many of them, after a couple of years, are getting overshadowed by other better applications, or also some stuff pretty much changes in the web development world, so they also have to stay up to date. Well, some of them after a few years are going to maintenance mode, or they are stopping being maintained at all. So you would have to after a while probably change some of them for something else and spend time on it, spend your money on it, etc. So if you select Next.js with all its capabilities, it gives you it is used for most of the things which you would need without having to. Yes, you would have to still use a couple of tools here and there for some stuff which are not yet covered, but for most of the stuff you would have only Next.js, and Next.js is built by Vercel, which is a big company which invests a lot into it. And since Next.js is here to stay, it's getting maintained every year. It gets a major version, a lot of smaller versions as well, and it not only it stays up to date, but it also drives the front end development world ahead. So I see that as a big positive for using it over React. and your application will stay relevant, and you will not have to change that many things if you keep just using Next. All you have to do is to migrate from one version of Next to the next one. That's it.
Thank you. So we should take a look over Next.js in the upcoming period. It's here to stay. Thank you. Do you have any other questions? Oh, we will see if we have some other questions. If not, we are of course available for questions, comments, or anything after this webinar as well. Our colleagues had a great presentation and we thank them for that. It was very insightful. We have a comment, a nice presentation. I liked it a lot. Thank you. My question is whether Next.js is good for projects where a lot of state management is needed.
Yeah, I can take that one. So Next.js does not offer you out-of-the-box state management. So you would still, if you wanna use state management library for it, you would have to use some additional stuff. But by using React, latest versions of React already provide you with some sorts of state management. And talking about it, when you select Next, unless it's really complex stuff which you have to have specific state management, I would still suggest to use Next and use the state management directly from React, which is offered by React. The thing about this is that from my experience, and I think my colleagues will agree here as well, in a lot of projects, like a few years ago when I started, most of the projects were using some state management, separate library for state management, right? Like Redux, or more recently, Zustand, or something like that. But the thing is, most of the time, especially big projects, the state can get really messy. And we had more problems with it than what we had as gains. So the latest versions of React are providing us with good way to keep the state, and also even some way to actually imitate something which is offered by the state management libraries. Yeah, like you would still be able to call actions and reducers, etc. So I would still go with except for some specific cases. I mean, I don't know what kind of project especially you're talking about, but for over 90% of the applications, I would still suggest using Next with React without separate library.
Thank you. Thank you for this outstanding presentation and for taking the time to share your insights and expertise with us. Thank you guys, really, I really enjoyed it. I'm not in the development part, but actually I really understood the presentation, so thank you. Okay, we have comments. I think we can address one or two more questions if anyone has some. I think there are no more questions. But as I mentioned, our colleagues are open for questions, comments, or suggestions after this presentation. We have a thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for this insightful presentation. It was an interesting topic. It was a great afternoon. Thank you for everyone that joined us. And we can, of course, stay in touch if you want to ask or suggest anything after this webinar. Alexandra, Christian, and Christian, it was a pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on where you're joining us from. And thank you for spending time to hear some of our insights. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye, you guys.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon. Bye.
Bye.